Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. It's July 2nd, 2021. Hard to believe we're halfway through the year already. Our agenda today, we'll start out with success stories. We'll then allow everybody to put their 30-second introductions into the chat box. We will then go to our committee reports, workshop, job fairs, pit crew, interview, success workshop, career tip of the week. And then we will have our main event, which today happens to be open forum. We'd like to ask, it looks like everybody has, but just as a reminder, in the participant box, you can go and you can, if you hover over the microphone camera button, you can rename yourself. So if your full name is not in there, please be sure to put your full name in there and then click that little blue box underneath. Remember my name for future meetings. If you have any questions throughout the presentation or throughout today, if you don't want to ask a question on opening your mic or whatever, you're welcome to open the chat box and put in the chat box. And for those people watching on Facebook, you're welcome to enter your questions into the comment field. I am monitoring that feed. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. But please note, comments that are in the Zoom chat window will not appear on the feed. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2007, I took over the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over when the gentleman who was leading the group had gotten a job and asked who wanted to take it over, and somehow I got picked, so I've been doing that since 2007. In 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched a second website, careerusa.org, to help people outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, and you'll hear more about that in just a couple of minutes. Well, we like to start the meeting off with success stories. Do we have anybody on the call who has landed? Do we have any good news to share? I didn't get any emails this week. Anybody? Any landings? I think everybody who landed, probably if they landed, they went ahead and they took Friday off to go start the long weekend. Okay. I think we will move on then. All right, what we want everybody to do now is, if you will, please open up your chat box, the chat window, and please, in the chat window, please put your name, comma, phone number, comma, email address, comma, position you're looking for, comma, 2 or 3 target companies, and then hit the return key. That way, all the information will be in one little field. I will copy all that information over this morning, and I will get that out to an email to everybody who's on the call today. For those watching on Facebook, you're welcome to put it in the comment field. I will go through and delete that information from Facebook immediately after the meeting, after I copy it over. So let's put 30 seconds on the clock. If you're still putting your information in, please go right ahead, keep going. But we will go ahead and move on here. All right, it's time to hear about job and career fairs, training and workshops. Good morning, Eldon.
Good morning, Jeff, and happy Friday to everybody. As Jeff said, I'm Eldon Zarinsky, and I bring to you career and job fairs, training and workshops. The information that I'm about to convey comes from the calendar tab from the website careerdfw.org. I go over these items fairly quickly, so if you hear something that catches your interest, I urge you to go to the calendar, click on the tab, find out more about that individual item. There's usually more information and or a link to register. All right, this week's career and job fairs. Well, this is a holiday week, and unfortunately, there aren't too many career and job fair announcements for this week or next week. However, The United Electronic Recycling event will be going on Saturday, July 3rd from 9 a.m. to noon. And that'll be at First United Methodist Church at 3160 East Spring Creek Parkway in Plano. There is a follow-up United Electronic Recycling event on Saturday, July 10th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at St. Andrew's United Methodist Church at 5801 West Plano Parkway. And that is in Plano. And there is a link to find out more about that on the calendar. This week's special workshops or events. Also online, LinkedIn Tuesdays at 1 p.m. From 1 to 2:30 p.m. Tuesday, July 6th. Join Locke Alderson, Terry Sullivan, Ruth Lipsky, or Kurt Vondemutter each week for an online session on how to use LinkedIn. There's a Zoom link and a Facebook link for that. Also online, the Who You Know Career Transition Summit will be held Wednesday, July 7th from 10 a.m. to noon. This is an online Zoom meeting, and there's a registration link on the calendar to register for that event. Sponsored by Foster Williams, and if you don't know Foster, I urge you to get to know Foster Williams. Also online, Interviewing Wednesdays at 1 p.m. This is a 13-part workshop put on by Mark McDonald, who's the leader of our pit crew, and Walt Glass, who's the leader of our Interview Success Workshop. This week, July 7th from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. is session 10, Building Rapport, Establishing Chemistry with the Interviewer. And there's a Zoom link and a Facebook link to participate in that. Restarting Your Career in Technology workshop will be held Thursday, July 8th from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And there's a link to register for that online. And finally, Resume Thursdays online sessions, Effective Resumes with Carol Brickell, Certified Professional Career Coach. There's a Zoom link and a Facebook link to participate. And again, that's Thursday, July 8th from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And that's it for this week.
Dalton, thank you very, very much. All right. I guess if you happen to know anybody who's lost their job or in job search transition, please tell them about Career DFW and Career USA, all the free training that the websites have that anybody can participate in. If you know somebody who just lost their job, tell them about on the very front page where it says, I just lost my job, what do I do here? Click here for help, and up will come a great one-page article with some, a lot of other, takes you to other things that really help somebody to get their job search started. Well, it's time to hear from the practice interview team. Good morning, Mark.
Hi, good morning, Jeff. And I want to encourage you guys to keep up your job search activities. The only thing that really slows it down that I've been able to tell is the end of summer and the start of school. So August is typically a pretty slow month, but Christmas is not, New Year's is not, Thanksgiving is not, and the 4th of July is not a time where recruiters slow down their efforts. I know of one candidate who practiced yesterday, has an interview today. He volunteered to do it next week because this was a holiday weekend. The recruiter said, no, we need to interview you on Friday. So there you go. They're working hard. They always do. So don't let up. Don't let up. That would be a mistake. So I'm Mark McDonald. I lead the pit crew. And let me tell you a little bit about what it's about. A lot of you probably heard this before. Our tagline is practice early, practice often. We encourage you to come and practice your interview skills and put in, a little bit of time, because you spend a lot of time on your resume, a lot of time on LinkedIn, a lot of time surfing the web for job opportunities, but you likely do not spend enough time practicing. And so we give a very realistic mock interview experience, and it's based on a job description and your resume. So it's very focused and personalized, customized as well to your situation, whether it's a first, second, or third round, what's in the job description, what's in your background. You'll get questions about all of that, and including, questions that higher level executives might ask you as you move through the process. So you can come and practice before you have an opportunity in hand. Just send in job description looks really good to you. You can practice for your first, second, third round, any of those or all of those. The pit crew is here to help you build your confidence, improve your capabilities, and shorten your job search. When you're ready to practice, send that information to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, and that information is your resume, your job description, and your availability for 2 days, 2 business days ahead, and 3 business days ahead. So it takes a couple of days to organize a practice interview. We can do them any day of the week, but we have to get everybody's schedule lined up. So it takes a couple of days, and almost always, I guess about 80 to 90% of the time we can have it in 2 days, but sometimes it takes 3 days to set that up. So give me your resume, job description, and your availability, and I can get started right away setting up your practice interview. I encourage you to link in with me and just send me a note when you request to connect that says we met on the North Dallas Career Focus Group. That's all I'd like to see, so I can place where we had where we saw each other, even if we didn't talk. And I'll add you to my network, and of course, being part of my network will help you find contacts inside your target companies. That's the big advantage of linking in. So just do that, send me a note, and I'll add you to my network. The PIC crew also offers one-way practice interviews. This works a little bit different. Nobody gets to see the video except for you. I give you the questions in advance, and you interact with a tool that's been donated to Jeff's organization, which he's made it available to the PIC crew. It's a tool that companies use to provide these one-way interviews. And I've got to say, it's really a strange experience when you're talking to the computer and nobody's on the other end. It's just different. It's different than when you're talking to the computer and and you can see other people. I can see you guys, and I can see your reactions. But in a one-way interview, you get none of that. So take the opportunity to practice. And once I get you started, I'll send you a link. And once it gets started, it goes automatically. You can log into the tool. After you're done, you'll get a link to your video. And like I said, nobody sees it except for you, unless you choose to share it. But otherwise, nobody's going to see it except for you. And finally, I got two more things. I forgot to mention that all of these things are free. The one-way interviews, two-way interviews are all free. It's all done by volunteers. And the volunteers who do give the interviews have all been hiring managers as well, have been hiring managers and have been in job transition. So we walked in your shoes. We have a very sympathetic to your situation. So, come and get, practice and learn how you can do better in your interviews. And then I want to mention the webinar that's on Wednesday. So Eldon talked about next week, which is building rapport. This week was demonstrating enthusiasm in the interview. And all of the sessions, all 13 sessions, are available on the Career USA YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and review one that you missed, or go ahead and look at one that's to come, that's great. We don't mind. And so next week is building rapport. And then after that is networking and target companies. Then after that, which would be July 21st, is dealing with difficult interviewers and their difficult questions. And then we wrap up with avoiding interview crashes on the 28th of July. And that completes the 13-part series for this round. So that's what's coming up. Take advantage of that. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Mark. Good morning, Walt.
Good morning. And Mark also coaches on why did you leave your last job if it's a difficult situation.
Yes.
Got covered, Mark.
You got me covered. Thanks.
All right. I also do some coaching with interviewing skills myself, and I can help you with that question as well. But I offer the interview success workshop, and it's quite different than the PIT crew. The interview that you do in the workshop is not a mock interview. It's a learning interview. We start with the fundamentals. It's based on differentiating ourselves from other candidates and on what they're buying, which is who we are, what we do, and how we can help them. There are 11 basic categories of questions, so it's not a very smooth interview. It's kind of choppy, but we're covering those categories, their motivation and options, strategies, structures, things that we can consider and how we might respond to those questions. If you'd like to come back, you have an option of practicing those similar questions a second time, as well as doing an interview that I would prepare just like for the PIT crew, but it's still very informal. There's no need to sit in a hot seat. It is also free, and I also have the same easy hire one-way interview offering that Jeff has provided to Mark and myself. So if you're interested in doing that, and I've got the 11 basic questions there so you can practice those and practice looking at a computer as if it was a person. Good deal for you to do and to try out and be ready for them. So how do you get signed up? You just look at my LinkedIn page. The About section will give you the information and details about workshop, a little bit more than what I've said, and you just send me an email to my Yahoo address, and I will send you opportunities, dates that you can register, because you have to be registered to attend. I only do 2 people at a time. I do them on Tuesdays, 10 to 12, and then I'll schedule as needed as demand increases. So I'd be glad to have you join us. So what I would say is, if you come down and learn, you may as well enjoy learning. You don't have to be upset and be squirming and all that. So I call it squirming without learning. I mean, learning without squirming. Wait a minute. I'm getting older and it's showing up more and more every day. I can see it. Is it confidence that you lack? Now with candidates, it is a fact. I can help you get interviews on track, and you can stop taking Prozac.
Thank you very much, Walt. And please note that the questions that Walt has for his one-way interview are different than the questions that Mark has for his one-way interview. And if you want to do it with me, I also have a series of 6 questions that you can ask of any one of the 3 of us. If you reach out to any one of us, and we'll be glad to get you hooked up for that. And for the low, low price of just $10,000, we will be sure not to publish it on YouTube. All right. All right. Now it's time to hear from the career tip of the week. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, everyone. It's kind of hard to follow Walt. That was really good this morning. Good poetry boost. All right. Let's see. So the tip of the week is entitled How to Boost the Odds You'll Get a New Job. The author is Carrie Hannon. Now, note, due to the length of the original article, this tip is slightly abridged for our purposes, but you can find the article in its entirety on the website. All right. Job hunting these days is not for the meek, especially for those in their 50s and 60s. It's challenging both in terms of time and emotional energy. But Steve Dalton, author of the new book, The Job Closer, Time-Saving Techniques for Acing Resumes, Negotiations, and More, has smart advice. Before I get to his tips, let me tell you my 2 favorite techniques in his book. Number 1, the You Bet Your Life exercise. It takes 1 minute. Name a single professional skill or ability in which you are most confident you are the top 100% of the world. If nothing else, make sure that any job you accept in the future takes advantage of this one skill, writes Dalton. By quickly naming your best skill, it just clarifies everything, Dalton says. Number 2, the brain dump exercise. It takes 2 minutes. Write down every job you would enjoy doing and could practically be or become qualified for. Many of my job seekers tend to endlessly cycle through all of the options they have in their head, wearing themselves out with self-debate, but never actually making any progress, Dalton writes. This technique will at least help you to avoid the endless churning in your mind. Now, here are my favorite job seeking tips from Dalton. 1, slash your resume. Cut the less impressive versions of similar projects from your earlier in your career so your resume is as close as possible to being a greatest hits list of bullets, Dalton said. Each bullet should be a story you're excited to tell in an interview. Hiring managers are trained to spend 6 minutes per resume. The bulk of that time is spent on where you worked, what dates you were employed, what your job titles were, basically all of the things that you can't change. Dalton thinks older job seekers should call their resume dates of employment or college or graduate degree dates. We'd love to think that ageism doesn't exist, but I wouldn't want to take that gamble. So I would leave my education dates out, and when you can, cut earlier work experiences. Eliminate responsible for in your resume. These aren't stories, they're job descriptions, which are tedious to discuss and don't show you in your best light, said Dalton. Your bullet points will be accomplishment statements showing results. Your ability to achieve impact is what differentiates you and shows someone that you're probably better at this job than the person who had the seat before. Skip your objective in your resume. Nobody cares. It's this thing that people stress over that doesn't have much impact, said Dalton. Ensure your resume, cover letter, and emails are error-free. In your resume and cover letter, Microsoft Word will help you catch most typos, misspellings, and some grammar issues. And a free online tool called Grammarly will do the same for your word processing software and email services, Dalton said. Many business schools are big fans of a tool called VMock, a resume-specific analysis tool that is also free. Spend your time networking. We think that networking is this concept where neighbors and relatives or people you know tell you about job openings, Dalton said. But now with online job postings, networking is something totally different. It's not about passively who do you know, it's about creating those relationships on demand as needed. It's completely optional to like networking, but it's not optional to do networking, Dalton noted. Use LinkedIn as a teaser. If an employer is looking you up on LinkedIn, they know exactly where to look to find the information they're seeking in a nice, neat, predictable format about where you worked before, how long you were there, and what job titles you've held. LinkedIn is your objective information. I keep mine very minimalist. Don't advertise on LinkedIn that you're available. Spend time on the summary underneath your picture. That's what people search on, and it's the job closer, Dalton said. I don't like putting I'm seeking new opportunities under your picture because you don't want to lead with what you need. You don't want to project desperation. Use 1 or 2 words, descriptors, in your LinkedIn profile, each followed by a vertical slash. Some examples are problem solver, vertical slash, team builder, vertical slash, mentor, vertical slash. I like it because it's constructive and it's positive. During the job interview, show a genuine interest in your interviewer. Ask, what do you see in the marketplace right now? Where do you think it's headed? What do you think is the greatest challenge coming up for the organization? Give the job interviewer a story about yourself that they can identify with. The way to overcome ageism is to give people a story that makes sense about why you want to work there. If you're over 50, there's probably a moment in your life where your current story starts, or that moment where you took a completely different path, whatever your hero story is. It's about helping people understand what motivates you from personal experience. If you just repeat what your responsibilities were and where you work, you're just reading the resume. And that's not adding any value or building any rapport. That's it. Have a happy 4th of July weekend, everyone.
Kelly, thank you very much. And if you want to see the full tip of the week, you can go to CareerDFW or CareerUSA.org and just click on tip of the week. All right, lunch report. We will be going out to lunch next Friday. For anybody who'd like to join us, next Friday, July 9th, we're going to go to Dickey's Barbecue. Oh, here we go. We'll go to Dickey's Barbecue on Preston, which is north of Parker, south of Spring Creek, right across from Weir's Furniture, that little complex right there. So if you'd like to join us next Friday, 12:30 at Dickey's Barbecue. Coming up here in just a couple minutes, we'll do open forum. We'll talk about whatever question you have about your job search. We'll just open the mics and let everybody just ask questions, ask away. Coming up sessions we have coming up next week, our speaker is going to talk about headshots. So, we talked about LinkedIn, talked about the one-page bio, how bios have a headshot. Well, we're going to talk all about the science of headshots and how you can make sure you're, what you get is going to be really beneficial and help promote what it is you're trying to do. In 2 weeks, we have a new speaker who I've only heard once before from another group in Pennsylvania, I think is where I heard him at. And he's going to talk about trust and about the system that he's talking about. He is a career coach and just talking about how trust is important. So it's a very interesting presentation. And then on the 23rd, our speaker is going to talk about how writing a book can help your career. Also a very interesting topic. I'm sure everybody here has got plenty of knowledge, and you could write a book and you could write something about what it is you do and or something in the past, and he'll talk about how that works. So please join us the next 3 weeks. We've got some really great presentations. Just a quick reminder, CareerDFW and the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group are 2 separate organizations. This is not the Friday group of Career DFW. The common thread is that I happen to lead both. I facilitate both. The North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group are a bunch of great people who used to get together on Friday mornings, many of which would go out to lunch afterwards. Hopefully, in the next coming couple of months, we'll be able to start getting back together in person. CareerDFW.org is two different websites, CareerDFW and CareerUSA.org. Like I said, the common thread is I lead both. If you want to overthrow me here at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, let me know. I'll be glad to hand everything over to you, but you're not going to get Career DFW out of my hands. I just need to sort of say that. All right, it's time for our main event, and we're going to do open forum. So we'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. So I'm going to stop sharing, and if somebody has a question, please just unmute your mic and I will call on you. You can unmute your mic by either holding down the space bar or pressing Alt-A. And if nobody asks any questions, I'll call on somebody to ask a question. Kevin, do you have a question? Go ahead.
Well, I don't. I did the practice interview with Mark and his team, and it was really, it's a great session. I learned a lot, and seeing the video really made a big difference, because even now I have to be more happy and more smiling and all that sort of stuff. And I was thinking a lot. You could see myself, my brain working. So I need to be more fluent in everything. But I think someone heard me out there, despite, the closed venue. So I got a call from a recruiter yesterday, and I had an interview this afternoon. But that's what I'll say right now. That's it.
Kevin, well, good. Congratulations, and have a great interview. Richard, I see your mic's unmuted.
Well, I was wondering, I've had two things in the past week where I wound up having literally in one case, 45-minute, to me, what sounded like almost a mini interview with a headhunter. And is that becoming a normal screening process type thing, or was it just the 4-page resume made them wonder what they were dealing with? I'd had that happen one time a couple of years ago, where I had this long drawn out discussion with the headhunter, but it led directly to a job. This one was having a pair of them occur at the same time was kind of odd. And I'm just wondering if that's becoming a normal thing, or if that was just a kind of one of those, they were trying to see what kind of fit they were looking at.
Anybody else want to offer?
Well, I can. Yeah. Well, in the past, I got, what I thought were interviews, but they were really trying to figure out how you do the job. And,
yeah, that happens too. It's like, what do you do?
And I answer all the questions. He thought they were great answers. And I said, I'm a slam dunk on this, and nothing. But, I've had this happen, not recently, but in the past several times. And I think there's a certain amount of information you give out that they need to decide whether you're going to be getting to, another interview. And then there's certain questions. And if it's really too long, I think I'd start thinking about that.
Thank you. I was wondering if I was the only one that was running into that, because it was really strange to have a pair of them do essentially the same thing. Were they
For two different jobs?
Yeah, it was actually two separate headhunters, and it was literally the same. And this is on top of what I call the real zaniness. I'll get I'm here in Texas, and my resume says Texas, and occasionally in the when I'm filling out their little filters on the applicant tracking system, I put Texas, North Dallas area, and they'll send me links for Michigan, well, Detroit actually, which is the one that just stands my hair on end. Detroit, New Jersey, places I wouldn't go on a bet, and it's really odd to see those coming. It's like, can you not read a map? I am in North Texas, not Northern Illinois.
Right.
not going to discuss the two that came in from Chicago for the same reason. It's like, nope, safer in Baghdad.
Might want to review session 8 of the interview, the virtual pit crew, and asking questions, because there's some due diligence questions on recruiters that you can ask up front to determine a little bit more information about them, their purpose, who they represent, what's going on, et cetera, that might help you screen them as well as they screen you.
Okay.
Sort of my reaction to that situation is, recruiters are usually pretty busy, and there's a class of recruiters though who are more interested in quality than in quantity. Right? I would say a fair number, maybe half recruiters are trying to place somebody in, the first adequate candidate, as quickly as possible. But there's maybe say 25%, I'm just guessing here, are much more interested in fewer, higher quality placements. And so you may have encountered 2 of those right in a row, and they'll spend a lot of time with you to understand who you are, what you do, and what you can offer. Now you may not go forward, you may not be a match, but they put all of that information in their database, and they've spent some time getting to know you, so they feel comfortable if something does come up that they could recommend you.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Something else, another question somebody'd like to ask. On Facebook, Pam says the congratulatory email response to a reject email is noticed. Opens communication. Oh, so I guess saying that after you've gotten that rejection email, go ahead and send a email response, because open communication allows you the opportunity to stay on the radar for other positions. So even if you don't get it, send an email anyway. Let people know you're still interested, because you never know what else they will help you with. What other questions can we ask? Come on, people. I'll have to start calling on people.
Yes, good morning, everybody. This is Jennifer. I had a friend apply, had a first interview with Cinemark about 2 weeks ago, and he was told he was going to have a second interview, but he was told by his fiance to send a thank you note after the first interview. So what would y'all's opinions be on that?
You can never send enough thank you notes.
Well, I basically, the last month or so, after all of the interviews, I basically go back to the headhunter and say, is it okay to send a thank you note? Because I've got one that I block out, and it's like, here, thank you so and so for the discussion on this position. Here's the high points, because that again, it's about keeping the communication open and keeping yourself at the top of their head when they're looking at the job. I know it's old school, but I've done thank you notes for interviews forever, even back when we had to type them up and mail them.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, everybody likes getting a thank you note. I mean, so yeah, you send a thank you note to the recruiter who calls you up originally. You send a thank you note to the first interview, to the second interview. If you see this person a third time, you send them another note. Because hopefully you're just showing civility, because a lot of people don't even do that. I mean, they just sort of wait. So by doing that, you'll stand out by sending a thank you note.
Okay, thank y'all for y'all's opinions. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, I think persistence sometimes pays off. And give you an example, I got laid off at Novell, and they gave me a 6-month package. It was great back then. And then I got offered a job. I was offered a job with Siemens as a strategic marketing manager in their pyramid division, and I turned it down because that was in October. I turned it down, and because I had an interview with IBM, and I really liked what they were doing and what their job was. Well, I didn't get the job offer from IBM until March. And they told me it was going to be in the budget and this and that, but I kept communication with the hiring manager through email, through phone calls, and she responded back, and I had someone at the company that knew her. So it was a gamble. That was a $100,000 a year job I turned down. I wasn't working. So, but I'm just saying, you know, with a recruiter or anybody, if you really want the job, it's good to write a brief note or a phone call if you have their phone number.
Yeah, and Pam says on, from Facebook, Pam says, I have handwritten and hand-delivered pre-COVID thank you notes. And I'll do the same thing. I remember once I had an interview down in Sunnyvale. I live in North Dallas. And the next day, you know, I came home, I wrote up thank you notes. There was a panel interview of 5 or 6 people. And the next day I went down, I drove all the way back down there to hand deliver thank you notes. So they would have them the next day before lunchtime. Because, you know, yeah, you could wait on the post office to try to do it, but I just thought it was better to get them in, do it quickly. Can't hurt.
No, can't.
There's a story that a person received a rejection, so wrote a thank you note for the interviews and the company, and expressed sincerity, still interested in the company, and they contacted him and said, we sent you the wrong letter. You should have gotten an offer letter.
Right. So you never know. Thank you notes are good notes. All right, what else can we answer for you? What other questions do you have? I will say in the tip of the week, the person, you know, the tips, the gentleman said, don't advertise you're looking for a job. You know, I think what he's talking about there is that underneath your name and your job title, don't put down that you're seeking new opportunities. You want to put in there job titles that you're looking for, and that you want in your about section, you want to make it very pro, you know, here's what I can do to help you. Here's what I am. Here's how I can help you. And this is what I can do for your company. I think it's perfectly okay for you to put on the green banner saying you're open to new opportunities, because quite frankly, if you don't do that, how am I supposed to know you're looking for a job? If I'm a recruiter and I don't pay $10,000 a year for the recruiting package, or the cheaper package, which is $500 or whatever it is a month, the cheaper one, Recruiter Lite, I'm not going to know that you're looking for a job. If I'm, you know, I could have worked with you, you know, 10 years ago and go, oh yeah, Richard and I worked, oh yeah, he was really good. You know, I'm gonna reach out to Richard. I see he's out looking right now. So, you know.
I was thinking the recruiter package actually actively went out and searched for that open for work thing. I was kind of stunned about the don't advertise. I didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, you want to turn on open to work, and you definitely want recruiters to know about it, but that's only going to work for those people, those recruiters that turn on that option when they search. And you can go back and watch Kurt Vonnematter's LinkedIn presentation when he shows you how he searches for people. But yeah, I mean, you'll see that there's 760 million people on Facebook, 160 in the United States, and maybe, you know, of the 43 million that will respond to emails, respond to in-mails, you know, half of that number or less maybe is open to work. Well, he does filter that, but like he says, he likes to have his filter nice and big. And then if he can't find what he wants, he'll start focusing down and down to get into what he's looking for. So, you know, I think it's okay to have the banner open to work. I think in your about section, it's okay to say, you know, looking for new opportunities. How can I help you? Let's talk, and put in your phone number and email address. So go ahead, Rick, Kevin.
You know, I think some of the recruiters, you know, don't know if people are seriously looking. They don't know if they're reasonably happy or happy with their current job, and it's going to be a waste of time even contacting them. So, I mean, I think the idea that you make yourself known that you're available, it's a green light for them to move ahead.
Right. Lots of keywords. So yeah, I definitely think it's worth doing. So that's the one, you know, the tips that I put in. I don't always agree with everything somebody says, but you know, I want to throw it out there because there's no right or wrong answer in a job search. It's what do you feel comfortable with? What do you want to do? Okay, what else can we answer for somebody?
Hey, Jeff. This is
Russell.
Just another kind of issue, I guess, with the tip of the week. For older folks, you know, like me, mid-50s, like he mentioned, like your prior experience on your resume, don't put the dates, you know, because that instantly date you, and like a lot of my experiences, back in 2000, some in the late 90s, but LinkedIn forces you, when you fill out LinkedIn, they force you to put a date. So, I mean, they can go right away and look at LinkedIn and see, oh, this guy was working back in 95, 94, so he may be too old. So that's just something I just wanted to point out.
When I'm hearing, so right, on your resume, you just need to list prior work experience, and you list a couple jobs and a couple bullet points, and you don't put any dates on those. LinkedIn, yeah, you need to have dates. But, quite frankly, your recruiter's not, I don't want to say this. If you're filling out an online application or you're sending a resume in, somebody's going to look at your resume and go, oh yeah, this person's got the experience I'm looking for. I'm going to call you up. If they decide to then go and look at you on LinkedIn, they're going to get what they get. But I will tell you what I'm hearing from job owner or people who have companies right now is that they're not happy with these millennials. They're not happy with the younger generation, because the younger generation is their dedication to work, their if they even show up is very questionable. I think, if you interview with somebody and they're in their 20s or 30s and they're the boss, you're not going to fit. You need to find those companies. You need to find those companies that, appreciate talent, people who've been working for a while. There's a list of companies. I think AARP on their website has a good list of companies that are senior friendly or gray friendly, or whatever you want to term it.
You may have heard the term the Great Resignation is coming up, probably starting the next couple of months, and about half of that is dealing with managers that have no, what I call, depth of experience. They don't understand that the only asset your company has is the paying customer. So your interface with that paying customer needs to be somebody who is going to be a positive image for your customer. Somebody that engages the customer, makes them happy. And some of the customer service I ran into in retail in the past year or so, like, no way I'm going to mess with this anymore. These people do not know what they are doing. And that is that is sad to me, because I worked in retail for a long time, and getting people to understand that customer comes in the door, we are here to deliver a good or a service to them. We need to talk to them. And there's nothing more infuriating to a customer than having somebody sitting behind the counter. Oh, what's on my phone? I'm going to look at my phone. And
Everybody's
got to engage people.
Yeah, stop and think about a job that you left, that you quit or decide to move to another job. You probably left because you didn't like your supervisor. You didn't like your manager. Statistics, I think, show that 80% of people who leave their jobs leave because of the manager. They don't like how they're being managed. They may like their job, or they'd like their job if they had a different manager, but they don't like the way the manager manages. So that's, a huge percentage. And then I'm reading statistics right now that 40% of the people who are employed are going to start looking for a job here in the next few months, just because they're ready to change. They're ready to find something different because they took something they're maybe not very happy with. So, I think there'll be, as those people are looking for jobs, I think there'll be a number of job openings, especially I think this fall will be just outstanding for people to find stuff with.
Yeah, there's just one more thing. It's just, there was a couple articles I had sent them to you, Jeff, too, just like in the past week on NPR and on Yahoo Finance, all called The Great Resignation. How after this pandemic's winding down, we hope that, go out and look for these articles. It's just like a record number of people are quitting, resigning their jobs for various reasons. They're burned out from dealing with the pandemic, or they don't want to go back to the office. They want to work from home. And, so a lot of, it looks like it's going to be pretty good for job seekers.
Right.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Yeah, I just heard a thing. The Morgan Stanley CEO says if you don't show up for work by September 1st, you're gone. There's, that transition if you're in finance. But I think as an older worker, which I am, I think, people hire energy. They hire experience, know-how. And if you got those things, I mean, you know, how you dress, how you conduct yourself on a Zoom meeting or in person, how you know, channelize them on your resume with some cute. I got to do that. That's advice for myself. But I think you know, and I disagree with that recruiter yesterday with the job hopping thing, because I'm a victim of it, or I'm a, you know, I don't say you should do that, but you know, I think one of the job search groups I belong to says the average turnover is like 3 years is for people stay in a job. And I don't know where all the data comes from, but I think you know, what experience you got from it, and you may have reasons to move on and so forth, but I think I have to treat it as an asset. And someone else may look at my resume, oh, job hopper, forget them. Okay, great. That's how you think. That's how you're going to hire. Great. But there are people that want experience and will accept, you know, reasonable things for change. So I think I wouldn't hope. 55 sounds kind of young to me, but I think I think what you bring to it, and that's your energy, how you portray yourself, how you dress, and the bridge behind me is not true. It's really a fake thing. I'm in Florida. That's it.
I'll give you a couple of comments because I'm trying to remember what I was doing when I was 55, and that takes a lot of effort and energy to go back. Number one, for those of you that are really working on resumes and doing that sort of thing, and I hope you're only spending 10 to 15% of your time working on the resume, but that top third is your attraction, that top third. Put the dates on there. Don't put the dates on there. Well, if you're hiding something if you don't put the dates. And so I'm in the camp that says, go ahead and put the dates, but put that experience, put that value right up in the top of your resume and get that attention. That's important. Energy, I'll second the idea on energy. Third, I'll say networking is our key to success. It's not through the resume that gets the major success. So that's a vote for networking. And go that route rather than the application route. And don't worry about it. If people are going to have age discrimination, they're going to have age discrimination. They will discriminate you at work as well. So we fight the battle by overcoming the obstacle through other routes rather than depending on the resume.
For those people, if you want to get yourself back on networking, I replayed Monday for Networking Mondays, Jay Frusero's effective networking seminar. So I've added some graphics to help the presentation move along. So, if you want to go back, you can go back and watch it on the Career USA YouTube channel. Networking is the way to find a job. I mean, 75 to 80% of jobs are found through networking, talking to somebody. In fact, Pamela says on Facebook, she said, I posted a picture from the MPI WEC, which was a conference out in Las Vegas a couple weeks ago. And a friend on Facebook did not know that I was in the meeting in the event space until she saw the pictures. Now she's interested in chatting with me on a career level. So, if you're doing, this was something she posted. So she posted a picture on Facebook, and it could lead to an interview of some sort, or at least a networking opportunity for her for a business. So, you never know if you can, post that right comment, post that right picture that's relevant to what it is you do, what you're looking for. You never know where you're going to get your next contact.
Hey, Kevin, talking about fake things, fake sky, fake planet, real ship. I worked on that project back in the 90s. That's if I could find a way to make that work on the green screen, that would be behind me all the time, but it just doesn't quite work.
Wow, very good. I like the colors.
Yeah, that's what I like. Fake sky, fake planet, very real ship.
All right, what else can we talk about in your job search? What else does somebody have a question about?
What's I don't really have a problem with this, but I just thought maybe someone might. If your energy gets low, because you're disappointed or whatever, what do people do to get that energy back.
What do you do to keep your energy up? Looking
I
for
go
comments.
chew out my Congress critters and my state representatives. That always gets my blood pumping. These clowns are wasting my tax money. Get your act together.
And I'll get your blood stirring a little bit.
Yep.
What else does somebody do?
Jeff, for me, it's I would say a big part for me is remembering to engage in some kind of physical activity, whether it be take a walk, have some kind of a regular exercise routine. It's a fairly it's not simple for everybody, but I think it's essential. I also think something else that's really important is to give yourself an opportunity actually it was a little bit of what you talked about earlier, Jeff, about taking the opportunity to write a book. I don't actually know that most of us have a book in us or the discipline and commitment it takes to do that. But I do think it's important to take some time to write out what your successes are. We've talked about that a lot of different ways here. But when you are hit with someone who, and I know this has happened to me more times than I really want to think about, but you get really close to an opportunity and you think, I think I'd be a great candidate for it. And for whatever reason, they pick somebody else. I think it's really good to go back and certainly take some time to think about what you could learn from the experience. But before that, I think it's also important to spend some time thinking about what kind of value that you actually bring. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in the career space. I think it's good to look at your life in a holistic way and realize that you're bringing value to your family, you're bringing value to your friends, you may be bringing value to a church or a volunteer organization, and to recognize that you are not a person looking for a job, at least not holistically. There's a lot more about you, and I think that it's easy to, especially if you are kind of in a sea of rejection, is to start believing what people are telling you. And I think the other thing, and we've talked about the great resignation that they're talking about. There's lots of other news out there that talks about if you've been looking for a job for a long time, that you're not going to be able to replace the job you had. You're going to have to take a step down, or you're going to have to do something else. That may be true for a lot of people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's true for you. And so I think taking that opportunity to take a step back, to really consider who you are as a human being, rather than stay in that space of negativity is really important. And even just going out and taking a walk, although it's raining today, is a good way for me to do that.
Yeah, those are some really
If
great.
you have a plan, that says, this week I'm going to research 2 companies, make 3 contacts, schedule 2 informational interviews, celebrate progress. I mean, don't look at the whole end result as pass fail and say, I'm not getting anywhere. So if you've got activities, you say, well, I achieved my objectives this week, and those are the activities that are going to help me get to that job. So get you an accountability group, talk together, encourage one another, check on your progress, check your activities, those kind of things. Accountability group that encourages you and meets weekly is a real positive thing to help keep our energy up, keep us going. So those are my suggestions.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I on the physical level, which affects your emotions, how you feel, I went to an aqua class. I live in Florida, so there's a lot of older people here, older than me, and they were all older than me in this pool. But I tell you, at the end of the class, I was really worked out. I mean, I was surprised because I thought it'd be really easy and it's just a joke, doing this in the pool. But it was really great, and I felt so invigorated. I wish I would have done that 5 or 10 years ago. But so it worked. And surprisingly do new things. And I also lift weights and all that. I feel that's helping me. And I hired a trainer to help with me, and so I stay on plan. But anyway, just do some new things too to enjoy your life. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other comments on that?
Yeah, Jeff, this is Russ. I always have some other project around the house to kind of take my focus off the job situation. So I'm not, become like obsessed with it. So I just always have some little project to do around the house. Like I cleaned out so much crap from my house, my garage, my closets. Actually, some with a friend, there was like old toys and stuff I was just going to toss, and a friend told me, go put it on eBay. Someone somewhere collects this stuff. And I did put a couple of things up, and I was surprised that they sold. So, that was a new experience for me. But I just always have some other little project to do around the house, just to shift my focus.
Right. Good. Bonnie says on the chat, says, Jeff, will you please tell us the top 3 books that you highly recommend? Well, I'm going to tell you 4 books that I highly recommend. So here's number 1, Clifton Strengths or Strength Finders. I think this is a great way because this tells you who you are and how to explain to other people what it is you do. I think this is a great book. There's a test in it. If you go to Half Price Books or something, you want to make sure that the answer, the test key hasn't been used yet. So if you buy a used book, just be real careful. You can get this on Amazon, 15 bucks, maybe 20 bucks, but it's now called Clifton Strengths. Back when I took it with Strength Finders. The second book I recommend is called Be Sharp. This is from Minna Brown and Paul Asanoff. So Minna was with us a couple of weeks ago talking about the 1-page bio. Paul Asanoff, her co-writer, will be with us next week to talk about headshots. So the first half of this book is all about tell me about yourself, how to tell somebody what it is you do in like a 30-second introduction. And then the second half of the book is all about the 1-page bio. Now, this is the second edition. The second edition has these little hash marks around the edge of it right here. And you want the second edition because the second edition, they took their 1-page bio, which used to do 10 or 15 pages, and now it's half the book because the 1-page bio, I think, is extremely important for anybody in job search. I think if you have Amazon Prime, and if you have a Kindle, you can download this on Kindle for free. I think that's what I remember last time I looked for it. This is another book. So this has been added. This is my 4th book I've added. Oh, if I hold it just right, it looks fine. It looks really funny if I do this. This is from the other side of the desk. This is Jay Frasero's book. There isn't one thing in this book that I disagree with except for the cover, because the cover doesn't tell me that this is really all about your job search. I mean, at the very bottom, in small print, it says practical guide to shortening your, and then you put a sticker over it. So I don't even know what it's supposed to be practicing, about your job search. But, I mean, this is fun to do. You can walk around the house like this and, and hide your hands, I guess. But this is a great book. This is wonderful. It is also available on Amazon. And then, of course, I have to promote, I think the best book out there is a book I wrote. What I've learned about your job search that you may not know, also available out there. So those are the 4 books that I really, really recommend. You're going to learn something from all 4 of those books. What color is my parachute? And I don't know, I've got 40 other books sitting up there that, But if I was going to recommend books to somebody for the first time, saying, here's some books you need to get for your job search, here they are. This would be the 3 or 4 books to go get.
If I could make an add to that, the book Who Moved My Cheese is great. There's a book called The Peter Principle, which actually tells you more about disorganizational mismanagement than you want to know, because you'll see it in every organization. Any organization above the size of, say, Joe's Bar and Grill down at the corner of 5th and Main, the Peter Principle is, if you're in sales or marketing, sit down, write down Ogilvy on advertising. It's probably the best sales manual I've ever seen. And even though it's dating from like the 50s and 60s, it is about how there's an integral difference between sales and marketing. And Ogilvy was the guy that turned VW from a joke from returning GIs to a major sales, car sales thing here in North America. That's how good he was. Especially when you consider what VW was running up against in the 50s and 60s. How to compare a Galaxy 500 1960 to a 1960 Volkswagen. And you'd say, why would anybody in North America buy this thing as opposed to that? But that Ogilvy is probably, I think, probably the best sales manual I've ever read. He's about marketing, but in that book is a very integral discussion about the difference between sales and marketing, and it's brilliant.
Right. So yeah, the books I show were all about job search and what to do to get started. And what Richard's talking about is, yeah, the Peter Principle, which is why most people who quit their jobs quit because of the person who got promoted to the top. They got promoted to their level of incompetence. All right, what else can we answer for somebody? Another topic. Does everybody want to go out and play in the rain? Is that what everybody wants to do? Put on your.
I have a question. This is Deborah.
Yeah, Deborah.
It's a networking question. When I have set up networking meetings, right? I go with a very focused intent on how I'm going to describe what I'm looking for or whatever with the person I'm talking to. But recently I ran into a former coworker who got laid off the week after I did at Target, and we had a really nice conversation. It was just a catch-up conversation. So I wasn't in that, oh, I'm networking looking for this frame of mind. It was like, oh, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Well, she kindly, through direct message, through Facebook, made an introduction for me for a job she thinks I'd like. She thinks I'd be good at it. And it's not, and so obviously I'll follow through and do that. So I guess my question is, in those impromptu situations, how detailed do you want to be so you don't get yourself into a situation where you end up with something that you need to follow through with because it's the polite thing to do?
Well, I think
Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah. So you met somebody else, the other person referred you to another position to somebody, and it's not really something you want to do. So that's one of the reasons I think the one-page bio is such an extremely effective tool, because if you do it correctly, the one-page bios tell somebody what it is you do and how you can help other people or help other companies. I believe that if you're going to meet somebody for a networking opportunity, you send them the bio before you meet them. So that way they have an understanding of what it is you do. So once you're there and you're talking with them, you already have a foundation set. It's all about preparation. Are you prepared for this? Have you really studied what's going to happen and you know what's going to happen? It sounds like, Deborah, you are prepared. But I think what would help is if do you have a one-page bio?
I do have a one-page bio. This wasn't a networking thing that I set up. This is just a woman I bumped into at Target who's now direct messaging me. But I think you're right. I think when I send the contact that she's referring me to, the one-page bio, that's going to change the course of the conversation. And so we can still enter into it, but then she's going to realize that I'm probably not the fit for her. Right. I'm going to follow through and have the conversation because who knows what will come out of it, maybe another referral. But that's a good point to make sure that I send this person the one-page bio so they have an understanding of who I am before I enter into the conversation. So that helps a lot.
Yeah, and I think at any time that you're going to have a conversation with somebody, even if it's somebody who says, oh, send me your resume, I would send them the one-page bio first, because if you haven't seen a job description or you don't know exactly what the job is, how can you customize a resume? You send a generic resume, you don't really know what they're looking for. So that's why a one-page bio can be a very effective tool to let somebody know.
Good point. Thank you.
And do not post your resume on LinkedIn.
I do not do that.
We haven't said that in a while in most of these meetings, but don't post your resume on LinkedIn. Post your one-page bio.
Yep.
The key to successful networking is building relationships first.
Right.
then asking for assistance, and then offering to be of assistance, help to them all the time.
Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, I think networking can happen anywhere. I was at a health club in LA Fitness, and I would start talking to this woman, and before I know it, she's telling me she's president of some company, that does this kind of laser radiation testing of buildings and, from the sky, and they tell you how things are going in there. And she wanted me to meet her husband, and, the job was there, but I didn't want to do it. But yesterday I met someone who's from Poland, and she's up near the Baltic Sea, and she told me about I guess the movement they had in the 90s, and so you meet all sorts of people, and you don't know what they've done, what their life story is. And even though it may not lead to a job, I'm not trying, me and everyone I meet at the supermarket, I'm trying not to get a job from them, but just get out there in life and meet people, and maybe tell them a little bit of your story and hear their story, and it might just make some difference in your life. And I watched this is a podcast called Bigger Pockets. It's about the real estate industry. It's very well done. And there was a woman on there, and I got the book, but I haven't read it yet. But it's called it has a subtitle, Reclaiming the Lost Art of True Connection. Listen like you mean it. And her name is Ximena Venegagia, whatever. Here it is. And I don't know if you can see it here. And I'm going to read this book because she talked about the art of communicating and listening and really understanding what someone is. And if they feel you really, give them time and that you understand that brings you closer to them, and maybe they'll want, do something for you. Not that I would do that to get that, but it just enhances your life too, because it's not all about me. It's about others, and even something they did, showing appreciation for what they did, even though it didn't affect me. It just adds value to my life. So just pass that along.
Yeah, you never know who you're going to meet. And, I know about a month ago, I was out and I didn't have any business cards with me. And so I'm starting to carry my business cards with me. They're in the house. They're always in my pocket with me wherever I go. So now that you're starting to get out again, don't forget to have them, get them, make sure you have a new set of them in your pocket or a new set in your purse or wallet or whatever. Have a couple cards, because you just never know nowadays, now that people are starting to get out and want to communicate, you have an opportunity maybe to hand out a card or to collect a card. I know when we had lunch 4 weeks ago, there were 3 women and they were all talking. I think one of them is on the call right now, but they were all talking to each other, but none of the 3 had a business card. They had to sit there and handwrite numbers out, but they all wanted each other's information. So, it's one of those things. We got to get back to good networking practices when we're out. So grab your cards.
Doesn't hurt to have a bio and a resume handy as well.
Right. Yep, put a couple of those in your portfolio. What else can we talk about?
Well, the thing that I need to refresh is doing that elevator pitch, the 15 or 30-second thing, make it relevant and make it memorable. But that's something I have to work on.
One of the tips I heard years ago, and I've sort of adopted a little bit, is, you've got to catch them with a good first statement. You have to, so the first statement I came up with, I allow small business owners the opportunity to take extended vacations. Oh, you're in the travel industry? No. As a general manager or production manager, I can take care of the day-to-day operations so the owner of a business doesn't have to come in every day, But so what's that little statement that you can come up with to hook them to want to say, oh yeah, well tell me more, or this is what I think you do, whatever. So that's, you know, if you can come up with something, that would be beneficial. And I will say, and I was just thinking about this, normally every time we do the Olympics come around, we always do a 30-second game for people to present their 30-second introductions, and then we have judges to judge them. So at this point, I wasn't going to do it because we're not meeting in person and I don't have medals to hand out. And we handed out medals, and I'll show some pictures from the past in a couple of weeks. But we've handed out medals every Olympics for the last, well, since 2007, since I've been doing this. But this year, because we're not meeting in person, you know, I don't know, maybe we'll do it for the open forum in August, first week in August. Give everybody an opportunity to tell us your 30-second introduction, and we'll get Walt and Mark to be the judges or something. We'll see. Yeah, maybe we can still do that. So I don't know, we'll have to see. But that's something we've done in the past, but we don't practice it every week anymore. So, you know, it makes it a little bit more difficult. All right, what else can we talk about? Are we done? Everybody want to go play in the rain?
Y'all have a happy Independence Day. Have a good weekend.
All right, I think we're done. All right, let me share a couple closing slides and we will get out of here. Let's see here. So hopefully everybody has put in the chat box their 30-second introductions, because if you didn't put it in there, I won't know you were here at the meeting. So please, please put your name in there so that I can make sure that we capture that for everybody for the roster. And I'll get that out here in about an hour or so. Please join Career DFW and Career USA. We're putting on training 5 days a week. The Women of Wisdom are not meeting today. Normally they would meet the first Friday of the month, but because of July 4th, they decided not to meet. Next Monday, no networking session because it's July 4th, the official holiday. The observed holiday will be July 5th, so we won't have a networking Monday. Next Tuesday, Terry Sullivan will be with us to talk about how to create a LinkedIn brand that tells your key contacts who you are, what you do, and how you can help. This event will not be recorded, so if you want to see it, you do need to see it live next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Next Wednesday, we said before, session number 10, building rapport, how to establish chemistry with the interviewer. And next Thursday, we'll do resume tips and tricks. So this session has been recorded, so you'll be able to go back and watch it. It'll be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel in a couple hours. Please follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel, it looks like this. Be sure to click on playlist, and then you can see one of the lists that have been created: resumes, interviewing, LinkedIn. And don't click on the video, but click down below where you see the red arrow where it says view full playlist, and then up will come a list of all the different topics and the titles. And if the most current one's not on top, you need to click on sort at the very top, and it will get the most current one to the very top of the list. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Have a happy 4th of July, and we will see you all next week. Be safe out there.